Yes, guys, hello and welcome back to the Spurs-related YouTube channel and podcast. I hope everyone is doing very well on this Friday afternoon. Happy weekend to you all. And we are back again previewing another Premier League fixture, this time up at Everton, which won't be an easy game, up at the new Hill Dickinson Stadium, where they look like they're making it a little bit of a fortress, but we'll analyse that. And we'll also analyse the 0-0 draw at Monaco in midweek, which I'd like to say it was a boring 0-0, but it actually wasn't. There was so much that happened. Vicario was on fire. We'll get into things. Frank's done his usual with his screenshot tool where he's circling things. I'm starting to think I'm watching Jamie Carragher or Gary Neville every week. But it's just Thomas Frank's AI son instead, Frank Thomas. But as you can see, we have a special guest alongside us as well, back on the channel. We'll invite him in to be introed first, and that is, of course, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan. That is David Harris. Davo, how are you doing, mate? Thanks for joining us.
You also left off FIFA King on that one as well, James, on my titles. But look, we'll forgive you. We'll look past it for the next 45 minutes or so. But yeah, I'm keeping my man in top form.
Good man, good man. Yeah, we'll mention FIFA at some point. We even discuss streaming some of our games because it's so funny. We just get in each other's head all the time, and normally it's me losing my head at the end. But anyway, we'll get into things. We'll talk about things, of course. Frank as well, mate. How are you doing? How's your week been?
It's been all right. It's been all right. I'm dealing with the beginning of what feels like a bit of a cold or a virus coming on, but hopefully a Spurs win will kind of cure that and make me feel slightly better than I currently do.
Good stuff, mate. Well, other than the cold, hopefully it's not too bad, but hopefully Spurs aren't too bad. They need to buck their ideas up. I wasn't too convinced on Wednesday night against Monaco. I thought we were very lucky to get a point, being brutally honest. I thought we played pretty poorly, especially offensively. I mean, and we got peppered as well, and Vicario saved us a number of times. But we'll get into things. Guys, please do make sure you're doing the 3 magic things for this 40-minute video. And I know a lot of you do watch offline as well. Please do make sure you're smashing the likes. Hit that like button, please, guys. And, of course, turn on the notification bell. That is also free to do so. And subscribe. But let's get into things. Let's talk all things to do with the Monaco game. Frank, I will let you add your... Here we go. Straight up. Talking, and this is a screenshot that you've dragged out. Is this from when we got counter-attacked from the corner, Frank?
Yeah, so the first two the first two pictures here are from... It's very early on in the game. And it's kind of just... Listen, it happens, right? It happens to it can happen to anyone. But there was the kind of bit I wanted to pick up on mainly from this picture here was just the positioning of these two. And Gray ended up doing really well, which I'll come to in a minute. But the initial positioning was really bad. They were kind of jagged and not in a sort of sensible line, if you will. There's only sort of 2 of them. And it allowed the ball over the top, which Porro got done by. And then sort of when you come to this picture here, Gray ends up doing really well, and the ball across isn't great, granted, but that sort of ball comes into Gray, who then takes a little bit of a heavy touch and manages to get rid of it. But it's poor mainly from Porro. I think Gray was kind of doing all right. Porro, but as I say, neither of them were in line with each other, so kind of as bad as each other. And I think that was kind of a common theme throughout, that some of the defensive positioning, I mean, I noticed it, and I couldn't find a specific screenshot for it, but I noticed it quite early on that the back 2 in Kevin Danso and Van der Ven were defending really deep. Like if they were on the edge of the area, if Monaco were on the edge of the area, those 2 centre halves were more often than not kind of on the edge of the 6-yard box, and that was then sort of bringing the whole team back. If they step up slightly, I think we would have been able to probably get out a little bit more, and I think that caused us an issue. And I think that probably comes as a result of not having Christian Romero and that sort of, IQ, if you will, and just general sort of understanding of the game, which I think he brings that level of composure to that back line. And I think not having him kind of leaves them in a little bit of a shaky position naturally. And I think that's a credit to him, but then sort of a cause for concern when he's not there.
Can I just
Scott,
You
go
know,
on, Dave.
just
I was going to ask for your opinion on the Romero, but crack on.
I was just going to say on that defensive line there. I think the problem there with the line is my takeaway from that move when I watched it initially was Archie Gray wasn't the one keeping the line. He was the one that dropped deep, which actually kept that player on side, which meant Porro had to track back. Now, granted, Gray done very well to clean up, but he really only cleaned up his own mess. But to be fair, it's sort of expected from someone like Archie Gray because he's not a fullback. You know what I mean? He's relying on the senior players maybe to keep an eye on him, tell him if he is dropping back, to push up and keep the line and stuff like that. But, with a makeshift back line on the night, stuff like that is just genuinely going to happen.
Sure. Yeah. What did you think, Dave? Just sticking with you in general of the defense on Wednesday. Did you think it wasn't a good performance from Archie Gray? Did you think Porro, as Frank's getting to there, he kind of makes a lot of mistakes defensively? Maybe has been a bit better defensively in recent weeks, but for me, still not good enough defensively. Do you agree on those points?
Yeah, I think it's fair. Look, when it comes to Romero, we know he's a huge miss whenever he doesn't play. But I would argue that I think Danzo does sort of still bring that aggressive type of defending that we have missed previously when Romero has been out. So I don't think it's too much of a problem. I think where the problem is Danzo isn't as good on the ball as Romero. Doesn't have really the expansive passing range, which means then we're sort of limited with how we can play out from the back when Danzo is there. That's the only real difference. But when it comes to Pedro Porro, look, he's been a liability for quite some time at Tottenham at right back. You look at every single team, whether it's Doncaster, whether it's Bodo Glimt or any other team, it doesn't matter the level that they're at. They all target Pedro Porro when he plays because aerially he's weak. Constantly, he's out of positioning. And when you get the ball and drive at him, he's constantly jockeying and backing off and calling for help rather than going engaging with the problem like an Adoji or a Jed Spence done. So he's an absolute liability. However, because we're so heavily reliant on Mo Kudus and Pedro Porro going forward to create chances, and Thomas Frank said it himself in a pre-match press conference, I think before the Aston Villa game, that the right-hand side creates everything. So we're so heavily reliant on him going forward because Udabur isn't producing, no one in the forward line is producing, no one in the cam is producing. That's why he continues to play despite his defensive liabilities.
Correct. Yeah, he's so good offensively. You can't leave him out for the fact we are lacking in that offensive situation from pretty much the whole front four, really, including Xavi Simons, which I'm sure we'll touch on in just a minute because I said it a couple of weeks ago. Like I just don't think he's doing enough himself. But Dave, I remember you even coming in our chat and commenting, and that's because he's not getting that delivery. He's not getting it to his feet, and he's not being able to do what he can do. But I've also seen it live myself at the game, especially against Villa on Sunday, where he picked up the ball and he's just doing too much on it. Like there was a couple of chances where he could have taken a shot or played in a pass, and he spent a bit too long on the ball. But anyway, we'll get into that. I just want to welcome a couple of people in the chat. Scott Hyman, big up, mate. Big up to you, mate. And Rodney Martin, always in here, said big up. We need to spend in January. We absolutely do, especially offensively. But Frank, we'll go back to your slides to talk about another talking point that I'm sure you have ready.
Yeah, I mean, they're all kind of defensive points, which is a bit of a shame. But given the performance we watched on Wednesday night, it's quite hard for them not to be. This is sort of another one, and this is a credit to Monaco as well as it being a negative on our part. Bergvall takes way too long on the ball. Obviously, I can't show the clip, but he sort of goes one way, goes back the other, and goes back the other way again. Loses the ball, and that is probably a thing of experience and just at certain times there's a time and a place for certain things, and I think he probably needs to learn that a little bit at times. Yeah. But he's young, and that's understandable, and I have no issue with that. He loses the ball. You've got three Monaco attackers in front of him, who I thought certainly Akliouch, who obviously we're linked to a lot in the summer, I thought was very good.
He was good.
Balogun as well was quite unlucky that he probably didn't score one or two, and then Ansu Fati as well. So I think all three of those were threatening, and so just naturally that was a worry anyway. But the press from these two in midfield was fantastic. Both Koulibaly and Teze, who I thought Teze, especially the latter, being superb actually on the night. He was unlucky again himself with a couple of chances. they end up winning the ball, and they end up having a chance, which I'll come to in a second. But this is kind of I point out quite a lot, and the gaps in the midfield. That's your midfield, which in itself is kind of a concern to me, given that you've got, if that's not what I want at all. I won't even bother trying that then for a moment. But given that that's your midfield, this Palhinha, Bentancur, Bergvall there, and you've got that space across that front three, and kind of, if I sort of open up that space like that box, right, and your midfield, not two of them are in sort of within that same area, if that makes sense. I was kind of badly explained, but that's a concern. It's so open, and when we end up seeing it in this one here, where, I mean, the worst part of this photo instantly is Bentancur is there. I mean,
why is he there?
Just ludicrous. Richarlison is deeper than him, and Richarlison's someone that I say all the time. I don't think he works hard enough whatsoever, but he's further back. I mean, this gap here is, I don't know what's going on. Defensively, just poor. Palhinha kind of closes him down. Porro's obviously quite high up. It's kind of just defensively a mess. I mean, when you look at your actual defensive line, this is it, and that in itself is pretty poor. The midfield line is like that. I mean, it's kind of all over the place. Which given what we know about Thomas Frank, and tactically, we know that he is certainly more astute than maybe Ange was, and whatever. It feels quite off sort of the what we expected. And obviously Vicario makes a good save, as he did a number of times, and yeah, kind of came to our rescue a little bit. But I think there's certainly a couple of sort of causes for concern in there.
Sure, I think you break it down well there, especially the gaps between sort of the 6, the 8, and the 10. It's all very disjointed, and even like Richarlison coming deeper than the 10 as well. It is all over the place. Davo, what do you pick out from there, mate? And anything to add about sort of the disjointed midfield? Because for me, just to put it out there, I don't think Bentancur starts those kind of games. I think he's there for different sort of games where you need a bit more of a double pivot, almost 2 central defensive midfielders. I don't think Bentancur, in fact, I used to think Bentancur was more of an 8, but now he kind of is more of a 6 pushing to an 8, but he plays everything so safe and sideways. He's there to be solid, but I actually don't think he does much in these kind of games. I think he gets a little bit lost, as we saw from that screenshot where he is there. I mean, why is he there? It's crazy.
Look, I disagree with both of you when it comes to Rodrigo Bentancur, and I'm well aware that I'm on the unpopular side of the opinion on this when it comes to him in terms of the Tottenham fan base. But when you look at them images there, to be fair to that, look, I agree with Thomas's point that certain players could be doing more to maybe close up the gaps, and Bentancur could be doing more to get back. But the big problem is Bergvall lost the ball so deep. It's very hard for them players to recover and get into a tight shape in a unit, because he lost the ball so deep they countered on us, which means where everyone's out of position. That's what happens when teams counter on you and you lose the ball. And I think, picking out Bentancur being there, okay, he could have done a bit more to get back. But in general, I think people are overlooking the big problem. Bergvall can't handle the ball deep in midfield. We've seen this time and time again. It happened twice in that Monaco game where he lost the ball deep in the midfield. It got turned. They nearly scored off the back of it. Against Brighton, he lost the ball out in the right back position. Instead of trying to play out and be clever rather than booting it long or booting it out, they ended up scoring off the back of it. Many people gave Vicario the brunt. Should have done better, but it all started from Bergvall. You go back to Wolves last season, it was similar. He lost the ball in a similar position. They scored off the back of it. Newcastle earlier on in the season, last season, same thing. This is a repetitive team when it comes to Lucas Bergvall. Now, look, I'm not knocking the kid. He's only 19 years of age, and he is a sensational talent. And if, Bentancur's 27, 28, if Bergvall ends up, at that age, you would think Bergvall is going to be a much better, more rounded player than Bentancur when he reaches that age. Fully agree with all that. However, the one thing people overlook is Bentancur retains possession. No other player in the midfield can do that. When we took him off, and by the way, fans were screaming for it. When we took him off, we lost the ability to be able to retain possession in midfield. After that, things just kept on coming one way for the next 10, 15 minutes. And I think that's the one big factor that people are overlooking when it comes to Rodrigo Bentancur. He's the only one. Palhinha is a destroyer. He's not a great guy that can retain possession. Bergvall has proven time and time again he can't do it in that position. Papa Matar Sarr, also can't do it in that position as well as Bentancur, and that's why he's in the team. Now, look, I also think it's a bit of a myth that he can't play forward. At one stage in that first half, he picked up the ball, bounced it off the fullback, received it, and sprayed a 60-yard ball to Udebur. It's not his fault Udebur couldn't take it down and control it. That's not his fault. But and then the thing is, you won't see his passing map being put around because that forward pass is on it. And I think there's an agenda against Rodrigo Bentancur within the Spurs fan base. And I think people are really overlooking the ability to be able to retain possession. Granted, could he play forward more? Yes, I fully sort of, get with that. Yeah, I would like to see him play more forward at times. I think against Aston Villa, at times there was an option to get turned and play forward. He played it safe. I get that. But when he's not in that midfield, we don't have the ability to retain possession through it. And until we get that other option to come in and play for Rodrigo Bentancur, then for me, it's a non-runner of a discussion. Bergvall just can't be trusted there. Papa Matasar can do a job, but he doesn't retain possession the way Bentancur does. So until we bring in a deep-lying playmaker that can spray them balls around the place, like Newcastle done with a Tonali or something like that, then right now it's got to be Rodrigo Bentancur that plays.
Yeah, fair points.
And at the end of the day as well, he scored against Aston Villa. Everyone's problem is the double pivot. It was Paulinho that headed it on and Bentancur that scored. I think people are putting all of the attacking problems, the fact that we brought Xavi Simons in, paid 60-odd million, he's done fuck all. Bergvall does nothing in the number 10. Richarlison and Matisse Tel do nothing. Udebur does absolutely nothing. So because they're not creating, now people are putting the problems further back on the guys further back in the field. And I think that's wrong. I think there has to be an understanding of roles within the team and with roles. Bentancur's role is to play deeper in that midfield and get the possession off the fullback and get us out and help get the ball into the forward line. And he does that. It's not his fault. The forwards have an inability to be able to retain possession or get shots off goal on a lot of the good work we do from deeper.
But Dave, I agree. I do agree with some of your points, but do you not think also that there's definitely a problem there within the midfield where it's disjointed, where you almost need a player to carry the ball forwards from those deep lying positions and give it to a 10 or give it to the wingers? I know you said it happened 1 or 2 times to Odebear and then he fluffed his lines or whatever, but I feel like Paulinho is there to smash in tackles, which he did several times, especially in the Aston Villa game. I think he made so many different tackles and left Onana on the floor several times. And then Bentancur sort of playing, I don't want to go back to the Villa game, but playing it sideways a lot of the time. And I know you said about the passing map, and it probably wouldn't have been, projected as much in the Monaco game. And maybe he was making many more passes in the Monaco game. But do you not think there is a disjointed midfield there? And I think you touched on it. You said about a deep-lying playmaker needed. Is that what you think is needed almost in January or the summer to address this?
Yeah, look, I think obviously you would like the option of a guy that has a better passing range maybe than Rodrigo Bentancur in that deeper position. But for me, the problem isn't the double pivot. At the end of the day, when he's broke that up, we've lost games of football whenever he hasn't played Bentancur, Paulinho, whenever he's broken up. You also look at Rodrigo Bentancur. He's also physically in there. I don't think he gets enough credit for how much he also gets stuck in. And I think when you look at the base of the double pivot, it's there to protect that back four. It's a massive part on why it keeps us in games because they're a lot more experienced. I think everyone overlooks what Thomas Frank said about Bergvall a few weeks ago, that when he's playing in that position, sometimes we have to tell him to stop running, which means he's not showing the discipline that Thomas Frank wants in that deeper position, whereas Rodrigo Bentancur is. So although everyone wants him to run forward and break the lines, Thomas Frank doesn't want that from that player. He said that when it comes to Lucas Bergvall, he wants someone that's more disciplined. And to prove my point, if you go back to the West Ham game, in the West Ham game, Lucas Bergvall played in that position. The first 15, 30 minutes in that game where they were on top and they were getting chances, it came down his side of the midfield when he got caught forward and he couldn't get back. And it leave us exposed. So that's why Thomas Frank continues to pick Bentancur and Paulinho, because they're trusted heads. They know how to play that position. Someone like Bentancur or someone like Bergvall just keeps vacating it. And that's not what Thomas Frank wants. Go back and listen to his pre-match press conference when he spoke on Bergvall. He was asked about it. He said he just doesn't. He keeps running. We have to scream at him and tell him to stop running at times. He just doesn't have the discipline.
So do you think with that extra discipline, Bergvall would easily be like the starting 8, Paulinho would be the starting 6, and Xavi is the starting 10? But because of that ball retention piece that you've just mentioned, that's why he's going for Bentancur over Bergvall in the 8, and that's why he's moving Bergvall to the 10, which naturally keeps moving deeper because he likes to pick it up from deeper. That seems to be what keeps happening here, right?
Well, I think Look. The problem for me is, I think if he wants to get away with this midfield, he might need to change it similar to the way Ange Postecoglou had it when he first came in, where you have one deep and the other two sort of playing as your two number eights. That way you can get away with a Bergvall, a Bentancur, and that way Bentancur can go and affect games. People act like Bentancur can't do it. Go back to underneath Antonio Conte. He got forward. He was scoring goals. He was playing people in. So if we've already seen the ability that he can do that, at what point do we start putting the questions on Thomas Frank and the instructions he's given the player? Because it's not like if I haven't seen Bentancur with the ability to be able to do that, I would understand people's concerns and people's complaints. But when I've seen him do it and now he's not doing it as much, it comes down to the instructions from the manager and what he's asking him to do in that role.
Sure. Understood. It's an interesting point. We may touch on it again later in the show. I wanted to bring in a few more people. Big up Dermatron. Big up to you. Can't wait for game day. Come on, you Spurs. Andy's in here. He's saying, big up, lads. This is not an easy game. Come on, you Spurs. Romeo, he's always in here. He says, none of them are creative players. You're asking... I think he means lazy last 5 players to create. Profiling players wrong. Richie isn't a false 9. Odobert isn't a transitional winger. Frank needs to adapt to players' strengths. Logan's in here as well. He says, we are frustrating to watch at the minute. Absolutely. Very frustrating. It's funny when fans blame Richie like he's meant to be a false 9. Richie isn't built for false 9. He won't be able to do false 9 thing. To be honest with you, Romy, I'm losing all faith with Richarlison. I just don't think he's good enough. Like, I don't think he holds the ball up enough. I don't think he creates enough. I don't think he takes enough shots. And that's also caused by the fact that he's not maybe getting enough. But I don't know. He's not been good since that Burnley game, mate, if I'm being deadly honest. Dermatron saying, question to the panel. What were your thoughts on Frank's presser? Spurs Related on Instagram, Spurs Related Media. Well, we haven't got our main account at the moment. It's been an absolute shocker, but we've just popped up the press conference main points, and one of the main points is that Cutty Romero is out. He's been out on the grass, but no time frame for him coming back. Destiny is not on the grass yet, but still progressing. So Dermatron, let me know if there's a specific point you want us to talk about on that. But we are previewing the Everton game in just a minute. But I think Frank's got 1 or 2 more screenshots from the Monaco game, and then we'll get into the Everton game preview.
Yeah. 1 second if it wants to work. This one was second half. I think I want to say there's 2 more. 1 second. Yeah, there's 2 more. So this is kind of, I feel like I pick out or have picked out the same screenshot like every game we've played so far this season, and we've kind of said the same thing. I mean, I picked out twice the other day against Villa and remember the Brighton game and things. So this is they had a chance here which they end up putting just wide, I think, or maybe Vicario saved. I can't quite remember, but this guy on the ball here takes about 3 touches or 2 touches, sets himself, and then has a shot. Which the fact that that's kind of allowed in the first place is a bit mad. But it's again the closing down. So Pape Sarr at this point in the game is playing in part of that double pivot, which Dave touched on isn't his best role, and I wouldn't disagree with that at all. I think kind of he goes wandering, and I think not to sort of go back on to Bentancur too much, but I think Bentancur and Paulinho are the right players for a game like this. I think Bentancur. I mean, I've said on here a number of times that I love him, and I think I'm a big fan of him. I think in recent weeks I've been a little bit sort of less loving of him, but I'm a big fan of him, and I think when he's playing well, I think when he plays well, Tottenham play well, and I truly believe that. And I think that at games like this, I think he gives you a level of control, as Dave said with the retention. He gives you a level of control that you need in these sorts of away games, and I don't think you get that with Pape Sarr. Or Bergvall as much, but certainly Pape Sarr. And so I think we struggled a bit when that change was made. I think that's why we sort of kept giving the ball away. And obviously Richarlison was still on the pitch here as well. Someone who retains the ball less than whatever sort of metaphor you want to use. He's useless, to be brutally honest. But the closing down. This again, these are your midfield too, right? Paulinho, and Sarr, you've got Porro and Danso sort of in this one little zone there. And there's a gap. There is a gap which they kind of just let him hit one, and it's not the greatest effort in the end, and they don't score from it, thankfully. And then you kind of switch on to the next one again, and it's almost kind of similar sort of stuff. It was a really good ball over the top in towards, I think it was Chao Enrique, who then headed it back, and Minamino ends up sort of skying a shot, which he probably should have done better with. But again, Porro is asking for something, as always. I don't think I've ever seen that man defend without his arm up in the air. Danso's closing down, that's fine. And these two I don't have a problem with. I have a problem with, again, these two in midfield. One of them, probably João Paulinho, but one of them should be in this area here. Should be closing it down quicker and it's not like they've sort of, as they said, sprung us on an attack or something. They're building this up. That this is just genuine poor positioning, and I have an issue. I have an issue with that. And as I say, when I look at the Yassine Ayari goal that Brighton scored in that 2-2, that Vicario should have kept it out, and it's poor goalkeeping. But it gets lost by Richarlison, gets lost by Bergvall, and then him and Bentancur and Paulinho and Bentancur don't close it down well enough. I mean, you can argue, although that second goal certainly against Villa was just a hell of a goal, and probably one of the best I've seen in a long, long time. Both of them could have been closed down in Buendia and Rodgers far quicker when we looked at it the other day by the two in midfield. And I think Paulinho again, and so I'm not like letting him go from this, but I just think it's a common theme. And given that he probably knows Pape Sarr isn't as good in that role, I think it's probably something he has to be more switched on to when playing maybe with him. It's poor, and we kind of got away with one. And to be honest, we were lucky that we probably didn't end up losing that game. Not just losing it, but losing it sort of quite comfortably as well.
100%, Frank. Well broken down. Davo, anything to add on this? Saw you laughing at the Porro with his arm raised. That got me as well. But anything to add on this sort of defensive situation, or anything else to add from the Monaco game before we move on, mate?
Yeah, a couple of things. Look, I think again, we're at 6s and 7s because the problems stem, I think, further up the pitch. When you look at the way we were setting up into a mid-block against Monaco, not one person went out to put possession on the ball, and all we allowed them to do was just create their moves at will. No one even engaged them, even in the full-back areas. We just allowed the ball to come into the box at will. Usually if you set up a mid-block, usually the player closest to the ball goes out, presses, and then when he moves the ball on, he drops in, the next player goes. No one done that. Everyone just sat in. And it's a double-folded problem, because as soon as we go to clear that ball, Richarlison's also as deep, which means there's no out ball, no ability to be able to try and pick it up or win a free kick to relieve the pressure. So it means it's just coming one way all the time. And that's going to be an even bigger problem, because we've got even bigger games coming ahead. I said at the start of the season that, before, going into the international break, that I wasn't happy with the start of the season we've made, because I could see the problems on the horizon. And I also looked at the fixture schedule we've got coming up. We're playing better teams. And some of the stuff we got away with against like Burnley, Leeds and teams like that, you're not going to get away with the games that we've coming up. And so far in the first 2 games, we haven't. And we've got even bigger tests coming up this month. Also, the problem is, right, our only out ball in that front line is Mohamed Kudus. And he was double and triple marked, and Aston Villa done the same to him off the back of the international break. And more teams are going to keep doing it, because they know if they eliminate his threat in the game, they have a bigger percentage of winning the game, because Tottenham do not create through the middle, and we do create nothing down the left-hand side, which means then it's very easy to set up against, which means we're going to see more and more games, just like we've seen against Aston Villa and just like we've seen against Monaco, because the reality is we're easy to play against. It's the exact same as we were last season. Very easy to set up against. And teams know you take out Tottenham's best attacking player, you have a higher percentage of winning the game. So there's a couple of problems there that I'm unhappy with, in general. But also, I think the biggest one that I'm scratching my head, James, which I think has sort of led to a lot of scrutiny around Thomas Frank, is actually taking Pape Matar Sarr out of that number 10. I think, and the reason why, and I know people say, oh, Dave, you're mad, but just hear me out on this one. Pape Matar Sarr was influential pre-season and the opening 6 games of this season. He was involved in nearly every single game. And the reason why, because his ability to be able to get pressure on the ball, turn the ball over, higher up the pitch, which means then we're in an attacking transition where you've only got one pass and you've got a lot of space to be able to make that pass. And we're in on goals. And he also has the ability to be able to strike the ball from distance. Since he's taken him out of that role, and tried Bergvall in there. He's tried Simmons in there, and none of them have worked. We've lost the ability to be able to go and press the ball, and we've lost the ability to be able to, create anything whatsoever. And I know Papa Matsara is not your traditional number 10. But if we don't have the ability to pass through teams with more skilled players in there like Bergvall and Simmons, then surely you got to go back to what has been working. And the reality is, when you look since he's took Papa Matsara out of the team, and he was asked about it today, by the way, he said there's no reason for it. I just think other people have performed better. Well, I don't think any other fan has. I certainly don't. Simmons hasn't performed better in there. Bergvall hasn't performed better in there. And since he's took Sarr out of the team, results have dropped off. Which shows how important Papa Matsara is in that position. Although he's not your traditional number 10, he's important. He's been involved in nearly every goal that Spurs have scored this season. Put him back in the team. The fact that he's took him out, I'm starting to question, does this guy really know what he's doing? I think it's a poor decision on his behalf.
Yeah, no, mate, I agree. I'm surprised more people haven't been calling for Sarr back, because although Pape Matar is naturally more of a number 8, he was playing number 10 phenomenally well, like very, very well. Did so well against West Ham, did so well previously in the season against Manchester City in pre-season, like you also mentioned. I think it's a really good point, and I know he did have a knock, he did have an injury, but guys, little engagement piece halfway through, well, just over halfway through the live stream. Do you agree with Dave? Do you think that Pape Matar should be in the number 10, and then perhaps we drop Xavi Simmons, who, let's be honest, guys, he hasn't had a good start to his Tottenham career, and it is early days. He's going to take a bit of time to get used to it. But is it a bad thing? Give me a number 1 in the chat if you would like to see Pape Matar start in the number 10. Give me a number 2 if you think it should be Xavi Simmons, and give me a number 3 if you think it should be someone else like a Bergvall. Pop it in. Frank, what do you make of Dave's point there about Pape Matar?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he came back from the international break and with a problem that we just kind of haven't been told about. I'm not sure if that's the case, or whatever, because it feels very odd that he's literally just been not frozen out of it, but like he's just gone from playing as much as he was to like not playing at all. With and it's not like, listen, it's not like him, Simmons, Bergvall, Bentancur, any of these guys are setting the world alight. It's not like they're solidifying their position so comfortably that you're going, I can see why he's not playing. It's like they're doing okay, but the results are dropping, or the form is dipping. And he was a guy that at the start of the season we were talking about as if he was, we finally found someone that unlocked him and worked out how to use him to the best of his abilities. So yeah, I'm confused as to why he's not playing. I think my hunch would be that he actually starts on Sunday. If I was being really honest, I think he will. I think Bergvall will be left out, and I think it wouldn't shock me if he starts Simmons on the left and Sarr in the 10. Actually, kind of a little bit like we did at the start of the season. I think that's where he might go on Sunday. And I think Sarr also solves a lot of your creativity problems as well. We kind of said it at the start that there was a quote from Frank quite early on, 2 or 3 weeks in, and I think it originally came from Klopp, and he sort of spoke about it after the City game, where counter pressing kind of creates as much as having a natural creator in there. And I think having Sarr in there naturally, I mean, when I look at goals like the second goal at City, both the goals at City, even Sarr, just from working as hard as he does, ended up getting on the flick on, and Richarlison was away and
same against Burnley. Same against Burnley, he was involved in 2 of the 3 goals.
Exactly, and we created quite a lot against PSG in that same way with him playing as well. And then just in these early games he was playing, and then City, the second goal, when they press up to Trafford, the ball's not great and it's poor from Trafford, but Sarr does unbelievably well, and so you create more. You create naturally, anyway, I should say, by having someone that is so high pressing and works so hard. So whether he's just come back from the international break and not been fully fit, or had a slight issue, and maybe that's the reason he's not been playing as much, because I don't see why he would have literally gone from playing as much as he was to literally not playing at all. I find it bizarre.
Yeah, let's see if Thomas Frank adapts. And it's been one of my question marks over some of his lineups that he's put out for certain games. In particular, Dave, I know you weren't necessarily agreeing with the Bentancur point, but I still think at times, like, playing Xavi Simmons on the left when he was coming in was an absolutely terrible decision. Not making substitutions early enough in games. Against Villa, I'm standing there in the south stand going, make a substitution. And he's standing there with Kolo Muani and I think Bergvall on the touchline. They're standing there for about 7 minutes. I'm not even over exaggerating for some reason. And they should have brought them on. You could tell the game was starting to come unstuck. And then Villa scored. And then I remember after the South Stand just raging. And I just think and then he got asked why he didn't bring him on earlier. He was saying something about defending a set piece. It was absolute nonsense. But listen, I'm not going to get on Thomas Frank's back as much as some people have, but I think he needs to buck his ideas up on some of his team selections and some of his decision-making in games for sure, personally. But anyway, we've got a new member. Big up, Derm. I really appreciate that, mate. That's very generous of you. Always very generous in the Spurs community. And yeah, as you said, when I was in your live chat the other day, I'll definitely come on your channel soon, mate. But really appreciate that, mate. That's very kind of you. And thank you. Policing your opinion. I'm not policing your opinion. The only thing I'd say, mate, is that you said drop Kudus, who has been our best player other than Palhinha all season. So it's a very interesting point from you. I don't know if you are trolling, but listen, you've made a couple of good points in the chat, but I think a couple of your points have been absolutely ludicrous. Dropping Kudus is just not an option at this point. We have 4 players up front, and 3 of them are very limited in what they do. And so Kudus is the only one that's actually doing something, taking on his man and trying to beat someone. So taking him out of the equation is an absolute travesty if that happened. You shouldn't be taking out Mo Kudus. One word answer. Frank, do you take out Mohamed Kudus?
No.
Dave?
I mean, if you're an Arsenal fan, you would want him out, right? But he's got the most assists in the Premier League, so why would you take him out?
Yeah, listen. I know your views. You're entitled to your view, but I have to question if that one was as a troll. Kudus is not that word. Absolutely not. But guys, let's preview the Everton game for the last sort of 10 or so minutes. Big game at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, their new fortress, their new stadium. It is a sensational new stadium. I've got to say, it's not as good as our one, but it is pretty good. This is our head-to-head records against them in the last sort of 10 or so games. 5-4 to Everton in the FA Cup. I remember that. That was crazy. I can't remember who that was. Who that was under? Was that under Conte? It was nuts. I think it went to penalties. We ended up losing. Then we drew 2-2 there a few seasons ago. Then it was 0-0. Then we spanked them 5-0. I was at that game. I remember that very well. That was a Matt Doherty masterclass, if I remember correctly. It was absolutely sensational. 2-0 win the following season with a 1-1 draw away. And then we beat them 2-1 in 2023. We then drew 2-2 away. And then we last season, we beat them 4-0 at home, which was probably one of our biggest wins under Ange Postecoglou last season. And then we lost 3-2 away at Everton. I'm going to be honest, I kind of don't remember much about that 3-2
that
game.
Sorry, just that 3-2. I remember looking, it was the one we were 3-0 down at half time. And I remember looking, it was about January time.
Right.
And Ange was evens to be sacked by 7 o'clock that evening. That's
he went back 3 that day. He went back 3 that day out of nowhere without working on it, training on it, nothing.
And then it was just like they're 3 down at half time. And then somehow, I think Mikey Moore came on and got a nice assist. And Kulu just sort of carried us through it somehow and somehow made it less embarrassing than it actually was.
Mm. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I checked out a little bit at some points last season. I just it had to for my mental health. But anyway, Dave, just quickly, mate, thoughts on this, and obviously Everton doing pretty well. Well, not pretty well, but they started better. They've dipped off slightly with a couple of draws and a couple of losses. But listen, still pretty solid. Hard to score against. Only conceded 9 goals. This season, which isn't too bad for a team sitting in 12th. You could argue that they're not scoring many goals either, but all in all, I'd say Everton are a very mid-table team, but not to be underestimated under David Moyes, mate, especially away. What's your initial thoughts? Don't give me your score prediction yet, but what do you think we can expect from Everton? Do you think it will be a tough match?
I mean, look, it's not going to be an easy game, right? We haven't won up at Everton away in over 4 years. We found it difficult there. They've been good in their home stadium. They haven't lost there in their first 4 games. I think they've only conceded 2 goals at that stadium as well. So, it's going to be one of them, right? It's going to be an absolute dogfight yet again, decided by a goal here or there. It could be from a set piece. And this is where Vicario built great confidence the other night, but he's going to be tested from David Moyes and set pieces. One thing that he hasn't shown the ability to be able to deal with. So it'll be interesting to see how he deals with that. But likewise, we're not great going forward. And I sort of said, or sort of realized over the international break that due to our limitations going forward, every single game is going to be a dogfight. The amount of breakaways we get that don't end up with a shot on goal is absolutely shocking, which means because we don't have the ability to score goals, we're post Kane and Son era now. We're badly missing the two of them. The two positions everyone wants filled is striker and left wing, which shows how badly we're missing them. And because we don't have any players of their quality in the front line that can go and win us games, it means we are just going to be feeding off scraps and every game is going to be a dogfight. So I urge Spurs fans, you got to buckle in and sort of realize where we are, what we are, and how most games are going to go. You look at most games this season, they've been decided by a goal, that we've been in when we've won and stuff, which, sort of alludes to that. And I don't see it getting any better, to be honest with you. So it's going to be a very difficult game, but I also think it's a must-win game. James, if we can just pull up Spurs' fixtures coming up this month, I'm going to explain naturally why it's a must-win game.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I just had to deal with something in the chat. Yeah, I completely agree, mate. It is an absolute must-win. In terms of fixtures coming up, just go on. Sorry, go on, Dave.
Yeah, no, the reason why is because we've got Everton away, which traditionally we don't do well. We've got Newcastle away in the Cup. Think about the hidings we took up there in recent years. Then off the back of that, we've got Chelsea at home, Copenhagen at home, Man United at home, Arsenal away, and PSG away. This is a huge, huge month for Thomas Frank. And that's why I argued with the way the fixtures came out, they were kind to us at the start. They allowed us to get off to a good start because we had Burnley, team we should be beating, Leeds we should be beating. But the drop points against Brighton, the drop points against Wolves, the draw against Bodo Glimt away were huge concerns for me. The loss to Bournemouth, because I knew we had this fixture list coming up. You cast your mind back to Ange Postecoglou. He had a similar fixture list in his first season at Tottenham Hotspur. He had a couple of easy games before he went into Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool. We didn't build the confidence we needed. We went into them games, and to be honest with you, no one knew where the next win was going to come from. No one knew where the goals were going to come from, and that run there at the end of that last season in Postecoglou's first season started signaling the end of his time at Tottenham. And we've got a very similar run coming up right now. And with how lackluster we are going forward, we have the inability to be able to kill these teams off, which is a huge concern. So we could very well enter a dark period for Tottenham Hotspur over this next month. And Thomas Frank needs to win this game to come out of that fixture list with a bit of grace, because this is the run now where fans are either going to buy into what he's doing or naturally he's going to lose them. And any manager that has shown the inability to be able to compete in games like this, they have lost the Spurs fan base. Jose lost them because he couldn't win games like these. Same with Conte, and it's the same with Ange Postecoglou, and it'll be the same with Thomas Frank. So that's why this is a must-win game, because if you don't, these are the games people are going to point back to. They'll go, okay, we can understand the run we've got coming up. Everton away, not good enough. Wolves at home, not good enough. Bodo Glimt away, nowhere near good enough. Bournemouth at home, nowhere near good enough.
Villa not good enough.
You know, this period that's coming up, this is for me. We could sit here and scream about patience all we want. You don't get that patience at this level. You just don't. You live and die by results. Your results dictate how much patience is given to you. And with the amount of questions already coming around Thomas Frank already, and you're also starting to see the away fans sort of starting to show their displeasure at what they're seeing. And once you start losing the home and away fans that go week in, week out, you're in big, big trouble. So this is an absolute must win. But not to scare fans too much. I know it's the time of the season, it's Halloween and all that, but to give you a bit of optimism, we have the best away record in the Premier League. 71% of our total points have been picked up away from home this season. We are unbeaten away from home, which gives you a bit of optimism heading.
Yeah, no, absolutely, mate. Yeah,
charge you for that breakdown. That was epic.
That was, mate. That was good, mate. That was good. Yeah, I expect my invoice through the post, mate, for that. But yeah, 71%. Yeah, a few nice stats there. 71% of all our points away from home. Certainly getting more luck away from home. I like that one. I liked your one earlier. I can't even remember what it was now. Something about we haven't lost the game with someone in the team or Sar or I can't remember. I don't know, mate. The stats coming left, right, and centre, mate. Watch out for the stats today when that FIFA screen thing comes out as well, mate. You get the 99 stats in there. But anyway, I might need some of them to beat Dave. But anyway,
may need some of Basuma's balloons for this next fixture.
Anyway, so after Everton, Newcastle away in the EFL Cup. I'm not looking forward to that. Chelsea at home, not looking forward to that. Copenhagen is one of those must-win ones. So is Man United at home, really. And then Arsenal away, PSG away. Well, you might as well just turn the telly off for those ones. I mean, I don't know. Not very confident on them. It is a horrendous run, Dave. You're right. You're absolutely right. So, good point. But this being a must-win. Frank, I'm going to come to you in a minute. I'm just going to get through a couple more slides. Appreciate we're running a bit behind schedule. So I need to, remove that. 1 second. So ones to watch for Everton. I think it's pretty obvious from my point of view. Dave and Frank, you may slightly disagree or slightly think someone else, but for me, Jack Grealish, he's been absolutely brilliant signing for Everton so far this season. A player that we were linked with many years ago, nearly signed for Everton so far this season. 7 matches in the Premier League, 1 goal, 4 assists, almost a goal contribution a game. And he's coming back. I think he was out with a slight knock, and also he was out against Man City, wasn't he? Because he was essentially, of course, on loan from there. Just very quickly, Frank, I'll go to you. Do you agree with my first pick on the players to watch for them?
Yeah, I do. I think he's brilliant, and I think he's starting to come to form again. I imagine that Dave hates him sort of twice as much, and will hate him twice as much given the Irish links. But...
Bit disappointed, yeah, I won't lie. Well, it's hard to hate a good player, though, right?
Yeah, he's one of those players that kind of, when he's playing well, he makes you want to actually watch the sport, right? And I was having this chat with my dad the other day. There's so many out there now that they're all kind of just robots, a lot of these players, and it can be quite dull at times. And I think that's why I've kind of started to love Voldemort at Newcastle. That it's something like we're going back to a period where it feels a little bit like where, Grealish is sort of flowing and playing this sort of way with Ndiaye. They're both like special players. You've got strikers who are 6'6" and whatever, and it feels like we're kind of, the long throws are coming back, and it feels like we're kind of going back to that sort of era, and that's quite nice. Because I feel like we've gone through sort of with Pep, who obviously kind of hindered Grealish's career, sort of this robotic sort of phase, and so yeah, I think he's brilliant, and I do worry about him. So I think he's a real threat, especially against Pedro Porro.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly. He's going to be down Porro's side. It's going to be absolute curtains. I think this is an accident waiting to happen. But Davo, just very quickly, mate, on Jack Grealish, anything to add?
Look, if I was David Moyes, I'd actually look to switch Grealish over to the left or over to the right hand side and put Iliman Ndiaye down the left hand side. And the reason why is, Jed Spence. You look against that Aston Villa game. Twice they cut inside off his side. That's an area defensive where I think it's weak for him. He sort of struggles a little bit. And I think if he could get Jack Grealish in that pocket of space, I think he could easily pick up score a goal the way Aston Villa did. So I think it's a route to go for David Moyes. So I'll be surprised if he doesn't switch the wingers for this. I think it'd be a huge trick miss for him, because also with Iliman Ndiaye, I think he's got over like 5 dribbles attempted every single game he's played, which means he'll run direct. And that's something that Porro struggled with. You go back to Semenyo against Bournemouth, gave him an absolute roasting. You go back to that guy against Bodo Glimt, who was at AC Milan, gave Porro an absolute roasting. So if I was David Moyes, I'd actually switch them over for this game, and for them reasons. However, I hope he doesn't.
Yeah, good point. It's almost like you've read my script, Davo. We're on a little wavelength tonight, maybe clubs later, because look who's next on my 2 ones to watch. Not a massive surprise. It is Iliman Ndiaye, who I think is an exceptional player. Frank, I remember, actually, fair play to you, mate, giving you flowers where they're due. You said about maybe signing him. It would be a good signing. I don't think we've got any chance of signing him now, because I think he's gone up another level this season, arguably. I think he's been very good. Again, very good at beating his man. Like you said, five attempted take-ons a game, did you say, Dave? What was the stat?
Yeah, I'll get it for you now. Just give me 1 second. Where's the actual stat? Yeah, so he's averaging 5.2 dribbles per 90 every time he gets the ball.
Wow. That's pretty insane. That's top 90 percentile stuff, I'd imagine. So Iliman Ndiaye, yeah, another one I picked out as my 2. And these guys are starting to work really well together. I watched one of the starting games of the season. I think it was Everton against, I want to say, Leeds. I think they won 2-0 at home, and these two combined really nicely for a couple of goals. They seem to be a bit of a dual threat going forwards. So keep an eye on these two for sure. Frank, do you want to add anything on Iliman Ndiaye? You're on mute, mate.
Sorry. Again, like Grealish, he's one of those players that kind of make you want to watch it, and he's a threat. He's gonna go at you, and he's got belief and conviction in what he does, and that's kind of this thing I've always said about sort of Wilson Odobert. Obviously, a little bit younger, and so we'll learn. But when he gets the ball, if you're a fullback, you probably don't think he actually has that belief to go, I'm going to get at you and I'm going to do it with intent. And he did the other night, to be fair to him. And I'm starting to see it a little bit more, and maybe that's just sort of as he's playing more, and that's great. But both of these two will go at the fullbacks, and they will go at them for the whole 90 minutes, and they will not stop. And so they both got to be on it. And that for me is a little bit of a reason why I'm quite disappointed that Udoji's not fit, because I think he would have suited this to tomorrow on Sunday. Sorry, but yeah, those two have got their work cut out. The fullbacks, so they've got to be on it.
Sure, absolutely. Going into just very quickly at the end of this, this is the lineup that Everton played against Man City when they lost 2-0. You look at that team, and I don't know, it just doesn't blow me away, especially Beto and Drewsbury Hall's an okay player, Garner, but it's beatable. But then again, this is what we think. Well, this is what one of the apps, SofaScore or one of those. Is this FootMob, Frank?
Yeah, this is FootMob. This is when they played the week before, so obviously when Grealish was fit and when he was available. Sorry, but then also Dibbling played, and Tian Barry played as well. So a couple of changes from the City one.
Okay, so roughly this is what we can expect from them.
I think so. I think probably I think it will be Dibbling and Barry, Beto, Dewsbury Hall, two of those four. I think the rest of it's probably pretty spot on.
Okay, Davo, any opinion on the lineup? Do you think there'll be any differences from what Frank's just said there?
No, I think you're right. Maybe Dewsbury Hall could probably come in there, maybe for Dibbling or Beto for Barry, but I think more or less that's what maybe what you're going to see there. Just looking at Everton's back line, look, O'Brien, he plays right back for Ireland as well, and he's one of them. On his day, he can be really, really good on the ball, deceivingly good on the ball. But also on his day, if you get pressure on him, you can catch him on the ball. So, it'd be interesting to see how he sort of performs. But also, kudos up against Mikalenko. I mean, that's a battle I'd be looking to relish if I'm more kudos. He can ragdoll this guy around the place. And really get joy out of him, especially if he can get inside and go at Keane. I think there's a real opportunity here for us, and I think that's where we can go and win the game. But I think we got to put pressure on that back line and not sit off them like we've done against Monaco.
Absolutely. So you think that the key battle will be Mikalenko against Kudus?
Yeah, Mikalenko against Kudus, but I also think where it's going to be key is how brave we are out of possession, how aggressive we are. If we go at Everton and force them into a long ball game, we'll win this game. If we sit off them and allow them to pass out from the back and get the ball to Enjoy's feet or Grealish's feet, that's where they're going to cause us problems. At the end of the day, Enjoy and Grealish, they're not known for how great they are in the air. So if we can force them into a long ball game, we should be able to turn the ball over and keep sustained pressure on them, which hopefully you think we'll go and win the game. If we allow them to pass out from the back, it's where it's going to be dangerous.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Let's see how brave we're going to be. But just finally, looking at the Spurs, that's not it. Looking at the Spurs predicted lineup. Let's have a little look. This is as per SofaScore. They think that Spence will be playing. Actually, what is going on here? Spence on the left, Van der Ven centre back with Danzo. As we know, Romero is not available. Vicario, of course, in goal. Porro on the right. Bentancur, Pioneer in the midfield. Odobert, Simmons, Kudus, and Tell. Is Tell back, Frank? Is Tell back?
Yeah, he's allowed to play. So I think he probably will start. Having said that, I mean, I was a little bit frustrated with some sort of Kolo Muani and the fact that he'd been out, and that was a while back. But I was quite impressed with sort of the limited cameo we got from him on Wednesday night. I don't think he'll be fit enough to start yet, but I think he could have quite a big impact actually on Sunday. I was quite impressed. He just looks like a handful, and so I'm quite looking forward to hopefully seeing him. But I think Tell will start the game up front.
Okay. Dave, opinion on the Spurs lineup? Would you change anything from that 11 on the right?
Yeah, for me, I think Sarr's got to go into that number 10 role. If he's not, I mean, we could see what we've seen in recent weeks. And I think Simmons has to go out onto that left role. And the reason why I say that is if you look at Simmons, even when Frank has played him in the 10, he hangs out on that left-hand side. You go back to Aston Villa, the first half when he stuck in that number 10 role, Onana was all over him like my missus is like all over me on the weekends, But when in the second half, in the second half, when he did get a bit of joy in the start of the second half, it was down that left-hand side. So for me, And I think the reason why he keeps dropping out to that left-hand side is because he knows if he goes out to Kudus' side, he's been double marked. There's more players there. He knows that if in the middle, physically, he can't be, he doesn't have the ability to play there right now. So in order to get him up to speed with the Premier League, I think we have to play him down the left-hand side. And the reason why I say that is because he keeps dropping out there. And the reason why is because he knows he'll get more time on space on the ball out there and he can cause a bit more damage. And for me, that's where he needs to play. He'll offer more end product there than Wilson Odegaard. And I'm sorry, but if it's anybody but a half-fit Colin Moani up front, I struggle to see how we're going to win this game. Moani had more impact in the 20 minutes against Monaco than what Matisse, Teller, or Charleston have had in months at Tottenham Hotspur. You know, he came on, he completed 80% of his passes. He actually was able to link up with players. When was the last time we've seen a striker actually link up with someone? And it's stark contrast. You go back to Matisse, Teller against Leeds, even when he scored his goal, he completed 19% of his passes. So it's a massive difference in terms of hold-up play, ability to be able to link up with others. So for me, even if he's half fit, put him out there. He's got to play up front. He could be the solution to our problems going forward. He could be the player that Mo Kudus is dying to link up with, which hopefully will bring more goals to Mo Kudus' game. And to be honest with you, with the fixture list we've got coming up, we need Moani. So hopefully his return has just come at the right time. But if it's anyone but Papa Matasar and Colin Moani through the middle, then we've got problems. And I'm sick of Thomas Frank experimenting. Last year, everyone was like, we need rotation. Reality is, rotation has cost us points this year as soon as we rotated. And I'm absolutely fed up with it. Thomas Frank, just put out your best 11. Football is simple. Put out your best 11 available to you. You go and win games of football. So just do it.
You're
on mute now, James.
Oh, I'm having a shock there. It must be something in the air. But I was probably on mute because I was crying at what you said, and that like caught me massively off guard. I started absolutely choking up. But yeah, well, fair play, mate. Yeah, put the best 11 out. I think you're right. I think Colin Moani. I think they gave an injury update. The club did. They posted it earlier, saying that apparently his dead leg's improving and that it's promising. He played 22 minutes the other night, etc. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Moani start, but I wouldn't also be surprised if we see him go off at 60th minute or something. But maybe he's got an hour in him. Let's hope so. But guys, before you all click off the video, please do me 3 massive favors, and it would be most appreciated. If you did enjoy this video, please hit the like button. It helps us out massively. So please hit the like button down below. Turn on the notification bells down below as well. Also free to do so. And subscribe to Spurs Related if you are new to the stream. I really appreciate all your support. I had to stop reading the comments at the end because it's just you guys arguing with each other. It's absolute chaos in there. But appreciate everyone tuning in as well. And before you all also go, like I said, like, subscribe, and notification bells on. Please do it. If you're watching on repeat, please do those 3 magic favors as well. And the 4th one I'd love you to do is show your appreciation. Show your appreciation to Mr. David Harris, who has come on the channel yet again. Really appreciate your time today, Dave. Incredible points. Bang on it with the stats, like you said. Where can people find you if they don't already know, Dave? I'm going to whack your YouTube link in the live chat 5 times. What can we find on the Irish Hotspur, mate?
Yeah, you can come over to the Irish Hotspur. We're live there at 7:15 tonight. I believe we've got Billy T on. We're trying to get Hammers, but Hammers, has other pressing issues on today, so we can't have his availability. But Frank Thomas, I mean, if you're bored and you want to link up, feel free. I'll send James a link. He can pass it on to you. But we're live at 7:15, and then tomorrow will be a relaxation day for Dave, and then Sunday we will be back with a predicted lineup, pre-match build-up, and watch-along. So, we've got all the goods. Come over and check me out.
Yeah, go and do it, guys. I've just spammed the link in the live chat 4 times, so you can't miss it. It's literally click it, press subscribe, and then you're there. And Dave's live at 7:15 with some great guests. Billy T's a greet guy, of course. Jack Kanicki, his co-host, is also great. So please go and check them out. And Dave, yeah, you said you've got the day off tomorrow. I already knew that from what you said a minute ago about how your missus is all over you at the weekend. So we know what you're up to tomorrow. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining. Go on.
Everyone's welcome but Romeo. I can't be dealing with that stress in the chat. I'm trying to speak.
Okay, right. Frank, also, thanks very much, mate. I'm sure you'll be sweating foot champs this weekend. Is that right?
Of course I will be. If I can find the time somewhere, I imagine I will. Yeah.
Absolutely love it, guys. Please do go and get over to today's channel tonight, or whenever you can, and subscribe. Hit the like button, notification bell on, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you very soon for another Spurs-related live stream or video, probably reviewing the Everton game. Score prediction, I didn't even give it. Quickly, I'm going for 2-1 Spurs. Dave?
1-0.
1-0. Frank?
I get in trouble every week for being too optimistic, and then we're rubbish. 2-1 Tottenham.
2-1 Tottenham. Here we go. Thanks very much, guys. And remember, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.